Hello, my name's Omar. Thank you for joining me and subscribing or watching my channel. In fact, I would appreciate if you do like this video, just hit the thumbs up button. It will help. Had my first video a few days ago go a little semi-viral, which was nice to see, when I was talking about is it too late to buy Bitcoin. I think it's about 1,400 views or something, which is a nice boost. It seems to have got out a little bit. So, markets has been hovering and moving sideways, but it's nice to see Bitcoin around 103 to 104,000 US dollars. As I think and reflect upon where things are as a 50-plus-year-old, I do realize as you get a little bit older, certainly after 50, that you have a lot less tolerance for nonsense and politics and political drama. And something like Bitcoin does offer that possibility, that possible escape plan. I mean, in the old days, of course, you used to have 401ks or pension plans and all these sort of things. In Australia, we had superannuation funds, and that's where a lot of Australians' wealth is locked up in. But most of them don't return anything more than 6, 7, 8, if you're lucky, 10%. And then when you look at real world inflation and realize it's around 10 to 12 to even 15%, you realize that it's a mug's game. And there's very few things out in the world that can beat that, except for maybe property and prime real estate, or sometimes a lucky gamble in a business or something else that just goes very well. But what can us normal people do? Well, more and more as I do my research, and I've done it for years with Bitcoin seems to be the answer. I mean, yes, you can strike it lucky with some trading things like Sui or Doge or ETH or other particular altcoins, but that's more of a gamble. You know, I certainly think sticking with the US altcoins lately, like XRP, Solana, Cardano and things like that have definitely got a lot more stability and reliability than say foreign coins or meme coins or whatever. I mean, you've got things like XRP, which will be probably used for a banking backbone, and then you've got Solana, which is really useful for meme and utility coins, and then you've got Cardano, which is great for NFTs and things like that. So they've got utility, but I would probably stick with the US ones, if any. But otherwise, I'm still more and more a Bitcoin maxi. Why? Because it's so decentralized. No one can control it. It's got over 350 exahashes of CPU power around the world, or more now, making sure the network's safe. And if you can dollar cost average in, which is like buy a little bit every week, $10, $100, whatever it is, it'll just go over time, it'll just keep going up, because it has one thing that not much else does. In fact, nothing else I can think of does, except for like singular pieces of art or a particular property in a particular place. But with Bitcoin, there's a scarcity. The scarcity is what makes it the most valuable monetary system that's ever been created by man. Because once it runs out and we mine all the Bitcoins, and I think we've got about 1.2 million or so coins left to mine, and you think it's only 21 million Bitcoins, and then you think about, okay, are those 21 million Bitcoins that are going to be available, you know, so far there's like 19,700,000 out there, say, around that figure. Don't know off the top of my head exactly what it is. And out of that 19.7 million, you may have lost 4 or so million because people use the wrong addresses sometimes. In the early days, people lost their hard drives and things like that. So there's probably really only 15, 16 million Bitcoins available. And then when you add the fact there's only a couple of million on the exchanges, and it's depleting pretty quickly on the exchanges to 2 million Bitcoins on exchanges. You know, and essentially in 2 years or less, the exchanges will start running out. I mean, there'll always be sellers, of course, but we're starting to mine a lot less than we can replace on the exchanges. So I've got to say, all in all, there's nothing else that could happen but Bitcoin to go up and be more valuable. And then when you've got the printing machines ready to print more fiat and currencies around the world because of the economics of things, where do you put your money? Where do you look for salvation? Certainly when you're 50 plus and you're looking for safe places to store any money you have, or to look for some kind of plan that whatever money you're earning, because it's obviously in your 50s, you're usually in the best part of your earning life. It's really now where you've got to find a store of value that's reliable and safe. And Bitcoin really is the only thing out there, as far as I can tell, except for the occasional real estate. But real estate's complicated. There's always third-party risk in terms of, something might happen in the local council which changes the rules, rezoning, God damn it, even possible climate change or anything like that. Who knows? It's just all these other risks. Whereas Bitcoin, can be self-custody, and if done correctly, it's reasonably safe, certainly safer than most other things. So I just wanted to point out that in my experience, I think more and more that Bitcoin's the thing that will save a lot of people if they take the time and learn a little bit about it. What I find is that most people who deny it, and there's certainly a lot of around me who are very suspicious of it, they focus on the occasional news story about a big exchange falling like FTX or something, but they don't look at Bitcoin in itself. You also need to spend a good 20 to 30 hours studying it. You can read the Bitcoin Standard, a book that's out that a lot of people read, and there's all sorts of lots of YouTube videos. But once you get it, you really do get it. If it could be hacked, it probably would have been hacked by now, because there's a lot of people that would have tried. Quantum computing is a long way off, and as I say to people, if you're worried about quantum computing breaking Bitcoin, be more concerned about quantum computing breaking nuclear launch codes and other things like banking systems. Be a lot more worse problems, I think, than Bitcoin being cracked. Even then, you can roll out a patch universally to fix it up, and I'm sure everyone would agree to do that with Bitcoin's network anyway. So this is just me having a chat and just thinking that Bitcoin is the answer that we're all looking for. And it's becoming more institutionalized in the last 6 months. You have the ETFs, you have the Trump presidency, you have BlackRock, Fidelity, and all these big fund managements getting into it. Countries are starting to quietly buy in it. More companies are starting to take payments. It's quietly and happening, but at the same time it's accelerating. And I do think this is still market manipulation, because I would have thought the price would go up a little bit faster and higher. But I'm also glad it's not, because if it goes too fast, too quickly, like before in the past with the other 4 bull runs or so, then it can burn out quickly. Now, what's really interesting at the moment, there is no real interest from the public yet. It's all institutions buying it at the moment. I mean, if you look at the graphs, the public hasn't taken up Bitcoin of late. It's still not really mentioned anywhere. So if you're thinking about buying Bitcoin, it's not too late. It's got a long way to go. You're very early still. And I think you'll always be early with an asset that's scarce. And then when you think about an asset that has that 1 Bitcoin equals 1.000000000 Satoshis, which is like a cent of a cent, there's still going to be a lot to go around in the long term. So you wouldn't even need 1 Bitcoin down the road. You'd probably do with 0.1 Bitcoin or 10% of a Bitcoin and retire for the rest of your life. I mean, that would be great. So next video, I'll probably talk a bit about what I do in terms of trading, but more or less, I mostly mine Bitcoin because I found that to be the most reliable way that I could earn passive income, save up Bitcoin, but also take the headache of onboarding from banks and buying it through banks and everything else. And particularly if you're a Westerner with high taxes, using the expenses to run the miners and to use it as a tax deduction and depreciation has some advantages tax-wise as well. So it's sort of like buying Bitcoin at a 30% discount if done carefully. Yeah, there's risks like with anything. You've got to, it's more of a game for the long run. Time is what you need with Bitcoin mining. But it's still a great way to buy Bitcoin at a discount, to deduct it from your taxes and sit back and just watch the funds grow. All right, thank you for watching. I am enjoying the sun a little bit today. And please, by all means, if you want to follow me, what I do, you can go to the website, which I've just finished. It's cryptobioma.com. I'm happy to answer questions at the moment. The subscription is free. I don't really plan to charge. I just want to talk about Bitcoin and answer any questions people have. And if they're interested in mining, they can reach out to me as well and see how it goes. But thank you again for following and listening to me rant on. And by all means, hit that like button. And if you feel like subscribing and asking any questions in the questions below, I do answer them. Let me know, and look forward to seeing the comments and I'm doing the next video. Thank you, everybody. Cheers.